One of the biggest questions preppers ask, should I bug out or should I dig in? That's a question that's been wrestled with as long as prepping has been a thing. You know, prepping has only been prepping for a few years now. Before, we just called it life. When I grew up, we were preppers, but we didn't know we were preppers. It's just the way we did life. We grew our own food. We ate the food that we grew. We canned our own food. We prepared. We stored. We did all of those things, but we just called it life. We didn't call it prepping. Now, though, there's this debate about whether bugging out or digging in is the more important option. And I will tell you that if you live in a major population center, then you're probably going to be faced with no other option than bugging out. If you live in a city, those cities are going to deteriorate very quickly, so you're going to need to get out of there. So bugging out is going to be your primary strategy. But you know, another strategy might be to go ahead and move out of the city before things get bad. Find a place so that you have an option on whether to bug out or dig in. Our primary strategy is digging in, and the number one reason is simply because of what we have built. We've built systems and structure in place. We raise our own animals. We have a way to grow our own food that's already in place, and those systems are functioning and working. You know, we have over a year's worth of food stored minimum here, just in this area where I'm sitting right now. So we have a lot of infrastructure in place. We also know how to defend the place that we live. We understand where the trouble's going to come from. We know those things because we live here. So our number one strategy is to dig in. But that doesn't mean that we don't also have a bug out strategy, because if things do go sideways, if things do get worse than we could ever imagine, then we have a couple of different places that we can go. And we've invested in those places. We own those places so that we have a place to go. They have water features. They have all of the security that we need in a bug out location. But that's not our primary strategy. Our primary strategy is to continue to do life just like we do life now here in our home. So my recommendation, and when you're asking this question, is first and foremost, are you prepared right where you are? Preparing where you are makes it easier to survive than to cast out onto the road. Just try to make ends meet in a mobile situation. Every time you leave the confines of your known area, you're stepping into danger. The unknown is dangerous. When you can't control the environment around you, then you are more susceptible to risk. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't bug out, but be prepared. Know where you're going. Know how to get there. As a matter of fact, I've created a resource called the Beginner's Guide to Bugging Out. You can click the link down below and download that absolutely free. And then I have another resource, an exhaustive resource coming out soon that you're going to be able to get your hands on. It will teach you exactly how to build your pack and pack the pack and pick out your bug out location, and goes in depth into all of those things. So if you want to know about that, go ahead and download that free resource, and I'll make sure that I let you know when that bigger, more robust resource comes online. So that is one way that you can start getting equipped for bugging out. But my advice beyond bugging out is build some systems right there where you are. Put in water catchment, a way to retain some water, to filter that water and purify that water. Put in some raised beds or some garden beds and learn to grow some food. You need to be in a food production mindset. A man who can feed himself can free himself. So understand that food production is key. Add some backyard chickens for eggs and meat. Add some rabbits, some quail. If you're on some property, some sheep. Those are some easy to manage livestock that can get your feet wet in animal husbandry. So go ahead and add some of those animals, because that protein source is vitally important. Begin to develop that land to attract some wild game. Learn how to trap, learn how to fish, learn how to do those things in your surrounding area so that you have a way to procure food. And then do an in-depth study about your home, your property. How do I defend it? What are some resources that I have that maybe I've overlooked? How can I enhance those resources? Can I take out some ornamental trees and put in some fruit trees? And get a strategy to dig in. Because if you live in a place where you can dig in, if you're not in a major metropolitan area, then you're going to be more apt to survive by digging in where you have resources. And then create a food storage system. Your food storage system is going to be the foundation of your prepper strategy. This is the insurance policy. This is what allows us to make mistakes along the way and still be okay, because we have food stored. Store dried goods, stored canned goods. Create a rotation strategy for those things so that you can stay abreast to all that you have and keep those things as fresh as possible. Create a medical storage system so that you have medical supplies on hand. Make sure that if you're on prescription medications, that you're asking your doctor for at least a 90-day supply of all of those medicines that you have, so that you can have some on hand just in case things go sideways. I have a resource that you can get for 50% off right now by clicking the link below. It's called the Beginner's Guide to Food Storage, and we also go into some medical storage in that as well. But it's going to tell you what you need, how you need to store it so that it's safe for decades, 25, 30 years. So make sure that you get your hands on that resource, especially right now while it's 50% off, because it's a bargain. It's less than 15 bucks. So go and grab that resource and make sure that you're prepared with a security system, an insurance policy with food storage. I don't know that there is a foolproof answer to whether I should dig in or bug out. The circumstances will dictate that. You need to have a comprehensive plan for both. Whatever your primary strategy is, build it as your primary strategy. Invest in that primary strategy. And then your secondary strategy, whatever it is. If your primary strategy is to bug out, then also spend some money and develop the resources in digging in, because you may be able to stay for an extended time before you have to leave. Invest strongly in your primary system, but also develop those secondary systems as contingencies, because we never know what life is going to throw at us. And SHTF may not look like what we think it's going to look like. It may not be on a global scale. It may be on a very localized scale. It may only be happening between the four walls of your home. It could be job loss. It could be sickness. And if your strategy is to bug out, it's hard to bug out from job loss. It's hard to bug out from a death in your family. But if you have the resources on hand, then you don't have to worry and stress, because you're going to be able to feed your family, because you have a system to make it right there within the four walls of your home. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this video as well. Thank you for watching, and until next time, remember, we're all just growing and learning.